Oh my god, it's finally here. God damn. Now, I have to disclose that this is kind of like a sponsored video. They did give me a pretty hefty discount on this because I was a return customer, and I even told them that I was going to be making a video on YouTube for it, so they offered me a pretty hefty discount. So after shipping, taxes, everything, I paid $1,080.11 for this phone. And that's Canadian. Like, is it good now? If this is garbage, again, I'm going to feel really bad because they gave me a discount on the phone. And I have to disclose that because if it is good, it is not going to be reflected on the fact that they gave me a discount because I still have to use this as my daily device. Because as good as Samsung is, and just the whole update process with One UI 4.0 and 4.1, I just ran into tons of issues and I did not like the way that they handled that. The updates took way longer than they should have, and there was just tons of issues, and tons of function of my phone was no longer available because of an update that I was not allowed to downgrade from. And because of that, I just started looking into other stuff. Looking for something else. Redmagic 7. So we're going to open this in a second, but I just want to explain the whole shipping process here because this is just absolutely ridiculous. So this phone went from Hong Kong to Alaska, and then from Alaska to Tennessee, and then Tennessee to Manitoba, and then Manitoba to Ontario in my city, and that's express shipping from FedEx. It was supposed to be delivered by 5 p.m. on Friday. So it didn't get delivered by 5 p.m. Then the tracking just said, okay, well, it's going to show up at the end of the day. And then, end of the day rolls around, still nothing. Nothing showed up. And then the next day I checked the tracking, maybe there might be deliveries on Saturday or something. Some delivery companies around here do it. I wasn't sure with FedEx, they don't. But at the time, I was unaware, so I figured maybe there's a delivery on Saturday. Check the tracking again, and the tracking number now says that there's no tracking information available. So now it said that at 7:55 in the morning, it was departed from Winnipeg, Manitoba. So it had left Winnipeg at 7:55 in the morning, which means that it should have showed up in town somewhere around 3 p.m., which still gives a 2-hour process to actually process the package, get it on a truck, and then start doing delivery. So it could have been delivered around 5 p.m. And even not being delivered at 5 p.m., it still could have been sent out for the after-hour delivery. But now we're at Saturday and there's no package. The tracking number says that there's no tracking available for this. So I call FedEx, and this is just all credibility to this lady that I was speaking on the phone with. She was trying, but she just did not understand what I was saying. And she just kept repeating herself. She was basically a robot just reading off of the screen. She had no idea what was going on at FedEx. So this is probably coming down to FedEx and not her as a person. Their training protocol is just so bad that she literally did not understand anything that I was saying about this package. Because I asked about the tracking number, I gave her the tracking number, and she said the package is still in Winnipeg. And then I said that the tracking yesterday said that it had already left Winnipeg and it was on its way here. And she said, well, no, we don't deliver on weekends. And I'm thinking, okay, on Friday it left. It said it had left at just before 8 in the morning, which gives ample time to get to the city with enough time for processing and delivery. And her response was that they don't deliver on the weekends. So it was just kind of threw me off. And I was like, okay, well, I understand that. So I'll probably have to wait until Monday. I just want to make sure that the packet, you guys know where the package is, because if not, then I'm going to have to contact Nubia and tell them that the package went missing because it left Winnipeg and it did not get scanned in here. Its current location is unknown between those two places. So I was patient and I just kind of gave her a minute. She looked into it, and this phone call went on for about 20-25 minutes. And it just got to the end of it where I literally just could not take it anymore. I just hung up. It was just so ridiculous because no matter what I said, she responded by telling me that they do not deliver on the weekends. And I just kept saying, I understand, but it was out on Friday, which is not the weekend. So has it arrived here? And she said, no, your package has not left Winnipeg yet. And I said, I have a screenshot that says that it has departed Winnipeg, Manitoba at 7:55 in the morning. And then she kept saying, we do not deliver on the weekends. And I can't even. It was the worst experience I've ever had trying to talk to someone in customer service of my entire life. It was literally like talking to a brick wall because FedEx doesn't train their employees enough to, one, understand like English to its fullest because I had to repeat myself a few times because she kept repeating words that I was saying as if she didn't understand what the word meant. So I just try and like simplistic without being insulting. Like I'm trying not to talk to her like a child. Like I'm trying to talk to her like a person, and I can't. Like it didn't work. I checked the tracking again on Sunday. There was still nothing. Today, it still says nothing. It has finally arrived. There's like a huge Easter egg with this phone that I want to get into. But first, let's see what Nubia actually sent me. Okay, we received a box. Good. Hey, that's pretty good. Like a little dent there, some corners, but otherwise this showed up pretty good. Like considering that this came from Hong Kong to Alaska, Tennessee, Manitoba, and Ontario with FedEx, which doesn't have a good track record at keeping packages pretty safe. The fact that this box isn't completely destroyed is actually amazing. Because when I received my 5G, the internal box was super damaged. Okay, so what is this? Redmagic Turbo Cooler. See this here, screen protector. What is this? Oh, another one. Lastly, we got the phone itself. The phone box is significantly smaller than the other one. So we do have a little dent right here. Not the end of the world or anything. It was just like the way it was packaged, I guess, because it was sitting up in this corner, and that's right where that dent is. To sum up the whole process with the shipping thing and everything, basically what happened is the phone arrived here, and then it was Friday around 3 p.m., just like when it should have arrived. And, you know, it's a Friday. They just didn't want to work, so everyone went home, and it just never got checked in. So it was sitting in town since Friday, and it just got delivered today because of FedEx just not wanting to process things. All right, so we got a little SIM tool. Hey, we got a case. That was a big thing with the 5G. So many people were complaining in the comments that I should have put on the included case. And I kept telling people it didn't come with one. The 5G did not come with one. And that's actually pretty nice. Wow. I'm gonna use this. I like this. It's like rubbery, but it's really firm. Like it's like a hard plastic, but still malleable. And it actually, like, it feels really good. Like it feels like a good quality case. So that's awesome. I love that. But that was a huge thing, was in the 5G video, I was saying how the phone is super slippery. Like it has some kind of like anti-fingerprint coating or something, or like anti-scratch coating. And when I had plugged it in actually on this desk, but without the mod mat on it, and the weight of the cable was pulling the phone across the desk. And I flipped it over onto the screen because I didn't want the cameras or anything to get scuffed up without having a case. And so many people were just complaining that I should have put on the included case, and it did not come with one. Again, it was a pre-order with beta software. Okay, everything just kind of falls out there. This right here is the phone itself. We got a charger. I'm going to assume this is some kind of like ridiculous fast charger or something. I really didn't read into it at all. The output on this charger ranges from 5 volt 3 amp all the way up to 20 volt 3.25 amps. This is a 65 watt charger. What the hell? I don't want to burn my house down. And then we have the classic red cable. It feels a little bit cheaper, but it's really thick, and probably to accommodate that ridiculous 65 watt charger. That's insane. But I do plan on keeping this phone for a while, so I'm not going to be using fast charge just because I want the battery to actually like live. So now let's open this one here. I've lost the razor blade. Oh my god. Rusty razor blade. What would this channel be without them? So let's just rip this open. It is a very tight fitting box. This is giving me that super high quality experience that I wasn't getting with the 5G. It's just that now I'm getting that with this. It's a lot better. So, oh, well, there goes that quality. This is really cool. It's like transparent. You can kind of see inside of it. Some kind of cooling rubber. It's like insanely cold to the touch. Holy Jesus, that's a huge heatsink. Okay, that's crazy. Well, that's pretty cheap. Like that's the plastic moving. You can see it has a lot of wobble. Same with that one. I mean, overall, it's not that bad. I don't know, that's kind of cool. What else we got in here? Little things? The hell are these for? Maybe like adapters or something? Because these have a really tight curve and these ones stick out. So maybe these are to use this on a different phone, like a non-Nubia phone. If that's what those are for, then that's really cool. Because then you can use this fan technology on basically any phone, and that's awesome. And then we have a charging cable and a manual. that is completely in Chinese. So that's useful. And now we can actually get to the phone itself. Now I have a whole list of issues with the 5G that I'm gonna see if they are fixed on this. Terrible opening experience. Oh, okay. It just wasn't like a one pull thing or whatever. It's not like you're ever gonna be doing this again. It just wasn't as seamless as I was assuming it would be. Okay, it has a completely flat screen. That's like one of my things. I love the rounded edge for when you're going back to swipe, because now it's kind of like a sharp corner. Yeah, you can definitely feel the screen protector that's on there. You can actually hear it. Like it's like abrasive. Versus on here, my finger doesn't catch on anything. So whatever, no big deal. Now as for the craftsmanship, this is unbelievable. For starters, we have the intake on this side. All vents are perfectly cut and there are 7 vents. On this side, we have 9 vents. So there's 2 additional vents on this side. Being an intake, you should have more air coming in to give the phone like an overall like higher static pressure, and then exhausting the heat with like at least the same amount of vents and everything. But the fact that there's 9 here, 7 here, we also have another 7 here. Now this phone is actually going to have a positive static pressure inside of it. I can kind of see a little bit of mesh in there. I can't see anything past this one, but this will mean that the phone is going to have better static pressure. So that's a huge improvement from the 5G that I had before. Not to mention that the fit and finish on this is unbelievable compared to the old one. Like everything is absolutely perfect. The switch, it's really easy to push up, but harder to push down, just like the old one, but still works pretty good. Has a nice click, volume buttons, power button. It's all pretty good. I really, really like the construction of this. The only thing that's kind of off-putting, I mean, like the fit and finish, it's actually like really, I almost dropped it there. I haven't even turned it on yet, but it actually feels really good. So even though it kind of has like this raised area around the edges, it almost seems like the display isn't sitting in the phone correctly. Like it would have looked more complete having a larger frame around the outside, but that's purely an aesthetic standpoint, because when you're actually holding it, this feels really good. It's not slippery like the old one. Like this little like metal thing right here is actually recessed behind the glass, so there's no actual differences in the texture all the way across. You can kind of feel the camera bump a little bit and then the vent, but they're so high up that it really doesn't matter. It's a super smooth back. You can grab onto it. It has these little like raised areas right here on the edges, so you can actually like grip onto it. And I love this. And I feel so conflicted right now because this feels like a friggin' paid review. They gave me such a discount and I was like, oh yeah, sure, like no problem. Like I'll take the discount. Of course I'm gonna take the discount. I was buying the phone anyway for my own personal use. So like it really didn't matter at all. Like I'm obviously gonna take the discount, but now I feel like this is a paid review and like I don't know how to convince you otherwise that this isn't. Obviously fingerprint magnet. I just washed my hands before doing this, but that being said, it could have been something that was on the package because like that FedEx wrapper was kind of dirty. So like maybe there's something on there, you know, they sit in trucks or whatever. So I'll have to clean it again or whatever and then just see if it's still a fingerprint magnet just like the old one was. But I mean, glossy surfaces, they're going to be no matter what. But let's examine the screen protector. Every side fitting absolutely perfectly centered around the camera. What is that? Can you see that? It's like this weird thing sticking up, like over top of the camera. I mean, you know, potato, but like, what is that? And it kind of comes up from the side, like it almost looks like there's adhesive from the screen coming up in front of the camera. I don't know. I'll have to see if that actually interferes with anything, or maybe that's just part of the camera. Who knows? Otherwise, screen protector is absolutely flawless. There's no lifted corners like the old one had right out of the box. I still don't understand why all of these phones have a macro lens, because you'll get significantly better photos out of having a zoom lens. Like even if they added like a 3x zoom lens, 5x, 10x, like anything would have been better than the macro lens. But again, North American privilege, I don't know if the rest of the world is like that. All I know is that all over TikTok, everybody with the S22 Ultra, that's what they're showing off, is how good the zoom is now with native camera support built into Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram or any of the other apps that possibly have direct hardware integration now on the S22 Ultra. So like the number one thing that people use on a phone is the wide angle and the zoom. And this is only wide angle and macro. Well, as well as like fisheye or whatever, but that's kind of what I meant with like the whole wide angle. Let's turn this on and just see what we're looking at here. Oh, there we go. Nice subtle vibration. Definitely better than the 5G, at least for what my memory yields. Ooh, that's pretty. That boot animation was so much nicer than the old one. Oh, I was expecting that to start up for a lot longer, so that's really cool. All right, yeah, I read everything. Oh, I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay, yep, I read everything. Continue. I'm gonna skip that because I want to run like the base firmware that this comes with. Continue offline, yes. I mean, not that any of this matters. I'm gonna be wiping it anyway. I don't want any of the Google stuff on. Get out of here. Don't you track me. Set up a fingerprint. Oh, yeah, let's see if the fingerprint reader works. Fingerprint reader was horrendous before. Wait, what? Ah, god damn it. I have to set up a pin. 0000. Okay, fingerprint, next. Okay, awesome. Okay. So far, the like haptic in this, significantly better than the old one. And so far, it has recognized my thumbprint every single time, so that's super awesome. Okay, add another one. Let's do this one. Oh, we had one not work. Partial fingerprint detected. Oh, I'm right over the whole sensor. What? Okay, so I had some issues with my second finger. Okay, cool. Location consent to improve location performance. Sends location data to Qualcomm Technologies Incorporated in the US. Also stores some data on your device and may operate even when no apps are running. Okay, I can not consent to that, so that's cool. Allow, yep, you can do whatever you want. Oh, wow. This launcher already looks way better. Damn, this looks like a Pixel. I mean, like, obviously not exactly like a Pixel, but I mean, like, the icons look like a Pixel. Wait. Oh my god, did we not have an app drawer? What? Is there seriously no app drawer? Yeah, the gestures work, so I can swipe in the middle to bring down notifications. There's no app drawer. So let's go into settings. Let's see here. Launcher layout, home screen style, standard, drawer. Oh, thank Jesus. Got that, perfect. Oh, so much better. Why do people want this to be an iPhone? I just don't understand. So the swiping up is kind of touchy. Like you can't do it too fast. Because if I do it fast, it doesn't work every single time. So like this one here, doesn't matter how fast I do it, always works. Hey, oh, I guess we can test the fingerprint reader. Oh, wow, what the hell? What? What? That is faster than the S20 Ultra. I can't even. I don't have words for that. That is so fast. And it worked every single time. So the next thing that I wanted to test was the camera. Okay, awesome. Oh, no, I have to accept whatever that said. So let's take a picture of the box. And we will focus right here. Take a picture. Very generic sound. Of course, there's going to be a watermark. And this looks great. Yeah, it's a very nice photo. Let's see what settings we're on here. So face detection, intelligent beauty. But like, how do I change like the resolution? Because it's 64 megapixel, right? So look at all those autofocus sensors. Like, are those actually doing anything, or is that just like an animation? Oh wow, they're actually doing stuff. That's fast too. Like, look at the box up in this corner. It's all blurry. Focused. All blurry down there. Focused. Like, it's instant. So the autofocus is absolutely amazing. I still can't figure out how to change the quality. Can I scroll through these really fast yet? No. That was one of the things. So like, let's say that I wanted to go to that like camera family thing or whatever the hell it said. I have to scroll through some of these first before it comes up and I can see it. And now that I'm on this, if I want to go to portrait, I can't just go to portrait. I have to scroll through a few of them before it becomes available. So that I mean, it's exactly the same as it was before, and it sucked back then, and it sucks now because like it takes longer to navigate through the camera. So it's not the end of the world. It's just, you know, it's not as fast as it could be. That could just be a free slider, so you could just swing it all the way across, and whenever it stops on, that's what ends up being used. That would be a lot better. Like in the instance of this one here, if I want to like swipe across, I can go all the way to more, or I can go all the way to the single take, whatever that is. So I don't need to scroll one at a time. I can go from the very last one all the way to the very first one in one quick swipe. And this one, I can't even tap on that one to go all the way through because it's not visible. So I got to go one at a time and then tap on it. Now, how do I change the resolution? Fisheye. Wow. There's no way. What the hell? Photo, fisheye. There's no way. That's not what? Okay, I got a fingerprint. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, so this is gonna sound like extremely conceited. The camera on the 5G was so unbelievably bad, and Nubia has reached out like multiple times to me because I know that they have seen my videos on the 5G. This wide angle camera is better than the S20 Ultra. Like, it's not even comparable. These are like two completely different beasts. This is insane. Like, obviously this is wider because I'm using the full sensor, and this one is set to like 20:9 or whatever the aspect ratio is on the screen. So like if I also set this one to 4:3, then they're about as wide. The S20 is actually a little bit wider, but the quality is just blowing my mind. The amount of sharpness that you get in this is so much better. I can't even right now. Wow, it's very, very shaky. So there's no stabilization. And now that is good because on the last one, the stabilization was so bad that it would actually make the video shake. So it was actually better to use it without the stabilization on, at least for video. Let's see if this is the same. No, the stabilization is fixed too. Okay, but how do I pick the resolution of the damn pictures? Okay, this is actually like really, really cool. The only thing that I can't figure out is how I change the goddamn resolution. Pro, focus assistant, focus lock, blah, blah, blah. Okay, depth of field preview, photo examples, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about any of this. I just want to compare 16 megapixel with the 64 megapixel. Photo ratio. Oh, we have a 64 megapixel mode for 4:3. Okay, whoops, too far back. Okay, so we go to the regular photo, we can go to the settings, we go to the photo ratio to change the aspect ratio, and that is where we find the 64 megapixel mode. Okay, so now we're in 64 megapixel mode. Can we zoom in at all? No, we cannot zoom in 64 megapixel, and that makes absolutely no sense, and I don't understand why they do that. All right, that looks really, really good. Oh, right, it's backwards. I can't go next because next is this way. Okay, so this right here should be 16 megapixel in 4:3. Wow, you can see a huge difference. Like right in the focal range, right in here, it's a little bit closer in the other photo, so it's right around here. But like even where there's detail and like the little nicks, you can just faintly see them, like it's all just kind of washed out. But if I go to the 64 megapixel one, you can see the grain of the paper. That's really, really good. I am absolutely blown away at the camera. This 1000% redeemed itself. Camera, perfect. Let's see if I can control the, is that a little person right there? There's like a tiny little person right next to the home button, like on the wallpaper. Anyway, game fan, perfect. You can turn it on in the regular mode. Oh, and the RGB is on. Okay, both issues completely solved. That's great. This phone is really quiet by comparison to the old one. Like the old one had like a super high pitch whine. This is a much lower pitch noise. Okay, well that's on the Leaf. So let's turn it on the Snowflake. RGB works, fan is quiet, the fan works. It pushes a lot of air, like I can actually like feel it coming off the phone, so that's super cool. So now the RGB and the fan not working in the regular mode is now fixed. You can use them in the regular mode. I mean, like I have to make a call, but no SIM card in here. And another issue with the 5G was when you're sending MMS messages, it wouldn't be able to send or receive pictures. So like I'll just like put that on the screen if they work or not. Okay, so now let's see if I can change the display size. That was another thing for me, was I couldn't change the display to be smaller. Screen display preferences. Okay, so we just got a whole bunch of different things here. So there's nothing in display for changing like the screen to be smaller. We can only do the font. Whoops, too far back. Wallpaper themes. Oh, neat. They actually like have the themes built in. In the 5G, this was only something that you could unlock by going into like secret menus that weren't enabled because they weren't available in the North American ROM, but they still had them in there. Future tech. See what we got there. That kind of just reminds me of the 5G. Like just overly gamer, but whatever. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out how to change the display size. Navigation button gestures. Oh my God, let's put the gestures on. Oh, that's so much better. Jesus Christ. Okay, awesome. So much better already. Face unlock. Do we have that? Facial recognition. Yes, we have face unlock. That's good. That wasn't an option before. Privacy, cool. Safety and emergency location apps. Advanced settings, maybe. Accessibility, nope, nothing in there. Okay. Redmagic OS 5.0, build number 3.08. Okay, this is the 18 gigabyte of RAM model with 256 gigabyte of storage, Android 12. And it is the NX679J, if that means anything to anybody. So it does not appear that there is a way to change the display scaling. I can't make the display smaller because everything is like really big right now. Like if I open on this one, which these displays are pretty much the exact same size, you can just see that like in the notifications thing, like everything on this one is a lot smaller and it just looks more refined, more professional, and just like better quality. Like it's actually utilizing the screen space. This looks big, kind of sloppy, more like a toy. So I kind of want to figure out how to change that. Cooling fan. Wait, so if I turn this off. Oh, that's so cool. So if I just... it only runs when I'm using the phone. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to try the DPI mod thing. Build number? Yeah, okay. I am now a developer. OEM unlocking, so we can still unlock the bootloader. That's good to see. Let's see here. Where is the... There it is. Smallest width. And let's change this one to 480. That should be about the correct size that I need. Yeah, it's actually a little bit too small now. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to pump that up a little bit. Let's do 420. 420 is the sweet spot. So now let's see if the camera app is still broken when you use the DPI thing. Nope. Perfect. App drawer, broken. So the labels are all still cut off. Just like the old one, and the search doesn't fit the entire screen. But the camera works. So that's super cool. So now if I can use a third-party launcher, then that means that every single issue since the 5G is fixed. We can actually test this little fan thing out. How does this even work anyway? So like, does it only work over USB? This seems like an excessively long cable if this only has to go from here to here. It's kind of hard to reach the volume buttons with that. It's not really centered on the phone. It's more toward one side, and it's almost touching the volume buttons. So I've been playing with this for a couple hours now, and I just wanted to actually point out the fan can sit perfectly centered because it doesn't actually touch the buttons. It's kind of hard to see in there, but the angle of it actually like folds down onto the front. The little pad things don't actually touch the buttons at all, so it's not going to hit the power button or the volume button even though it's overlapping it. Which means you can use it perfectly centered, and then you have like an even amount of space on each side for your hands. And it fits with a case. I also found in the settings that you can turn the rear logo on, so you can just have it like static red all the time, or you can have it pulse. But it doesn't change color, but that is super extra, and I kind of love it. So, I don't know. That's pretty cool. I'll have to try and find like a really small USB cable that'll go from the port on the bottom there just into the bottom of the phone. Now, like, we power this. Yeah. Wow. That moves a lot of air. I wonder if we can change color of this now that it's plugged in. Like, there might be software in here to configure this. You cannot configure the lights on this. It just always flashes RGB. There's no adjustment. But I think it might just be software related because the software hasn't been configured for this. And I know a lot of people are going to be complaining about putting the phone down on the screen, but you literally can't put it down any other way because it's always going to sit and cover the fan. And then you can just hear it stressing. But if we just flip the switch, we can go to the little hardware button, the ice dock, which isn't compatible with this phone, and the dual core cooler. And if I go here and connect, it just tries searching and nothing actually comes up. Go to the ice dock and nothing happened. Basically, there's no configuration at all for this fan, at least at this time. But given that this does just plug in with USB, I'm going to safely assume that they're going to release a software update that's going to allow the lights to be configurable, as well as possibly adjusting fan speed or something like that. Not entirely sure, but potential things that could come. And completely out of the scope of its design, I was kind of hoping that like maybe you could use this as like a stand or something, but you can't. It doesn't. It's too top heavy because of the giant heatsink that's in there, and it doesn't sit like this because the fan's too heavy. So it's really evenly balanced, but it's too heavy to actually hold itself up. So you can't use it as a stand. The RGB is just a rainbow vomit, like all day. You can't adjust it or whatever, but again, that could be solved in software with a software update. So hopefully they update that. But I mean, like, that's a hell of a look if I've ever seen it. Okay, so that just quiets right up. There's really no easy way to actually like get this off. You gotta kind of like go back and forth. Like there's nowhere to grab it. I love that the fan can just turn on with the screen. That is so much better than it was before. Okay, the keyboard haptics are not the best. They still feel kind of cheap. But let's see, checking for updates. There's an update, 311. Download an update. I'll let that do its thing. I'll do a factory reset after the update is completed, so that way it just gets rid of any like 308 files that may have been in the background, give it the best option for stability, and then I'll actually sign into my account and everything. I'll do Nova Launcher, and then I'll see what kind of comes up from that point there. All right, I've just updated to 311. Now, one of the things, I'm just going to turn the fan off so you don't have to listen to it. This is the exact same issue that I was having with the 5G, and that's trying to set Nova Launcher. And there was a bypass to actually set this on the 5G, but if you go home too many times, it'll reset. So for instance, right now I'm in Nova Launcher, but it's in Nova Launcher as an app. If I go home, it goes back to the Nubia launcher. So if we go back in, we go to the Nova settings, you can see not set as default. We click this, but we do have it set as the default. The Nubia launcher is not the default. And we go down here and you can see that it says Nubia launcher is a default launcher, even though we have Nova launcher as the default launcher. Now, the fix for this on the 5G was you go to settings, you go all the way down to apps, you go to your app info, then you click on these three little dots right here and you go to the default app settings. And for whatever reason, you can't access this through the search. Like even if you type in default in search, this will not come up. You have to go through it manually. Then in here, you can change this to Nova Launcher. So now when I swipe to go home, get rid of all that, we're in Nova Launcher. So I have an app open and I'm going to swipe to go home. There we go. The issue right now is that if I swipe too many times, it'll go back to the Nubia launcher. And as you can see, that's no longer the case. This is now using Nova Launcher as the default. The previous bypass in the 5G, when it updated to the merge ROM between the 5G and the 5S, whatever, 7, 8, 9, like those ROM variants, those were the merged ones, and that's where this bypass became apparent. But it would not stay. If you went home too many times, it would default back to the Nubia launcher. And there was no way around that, and one of the things that I wanted to try is if it did that, can I remove the Nubia launcher in ADB? But that is no longer the case, because you can see set default launcher is Nova Launcher. Like, it actually worked. Gestures work. In order to change the lock screen wallpaper, oh, it just did face unlock because it recognized me even from over here. So to change that wallpaper, you have to reset the launcher to the Nubia launcher. Because for some reason, the lock screen still only operates with like the Nubia launcher. So you need to set it to that one by default, set the lock screen wallpaper, and then switch it back to Nova Launcher. We can change the icon. So now I can go to Flight Light. I can set a different icon. I can pick reshape or not. So it just uses like the full icon itself. And there we go. Everything works absolutely perfect, which basically means that this phone is finally f***ing perfect. Like, this took so long. Like, it's so stupid how I'm currently excited about these things with this phone when these are just standard features that every other phone has. The reason I'm excited is because this phone, you can get it for just under $1,200 Canadian if you pay the regular price. Now, the triggers, I didn't even try them, just because like gaming it's not my priority for this phone. And again, this is, like, you gotta remember, this is a phone first that can do gaming. It's a phone plus. And that's like the biggest thing. Like, so many people just didn't understand. Like, it's a gaming computer plus I also have it overclocked, 5.2 gigahertz. Right now it's running a memory test to make sure that everything there is completely perfect. And I edit all of these videos on that gaming computer. I edit photos on the gaming computer. Like, it has to do its primary tasks plus gaming. And that's exactly my gripe with the original one. It was a gaming phone, but that was the only thing you could do on it. You couldn't make a call. You couldn't send pictures. People were saying that 5G doesn't work. Actually, I don't actually know if 5G works because I didn't put a SIM card in here. 5G does not work. It only has 4G, but 4G around here is still like just over 400 megabit per second, so I'm really not too concerned with that. So that's more than fast enough for playing any sort of online game. So 5G is just a luxury. It uses more battery life, and I even turn it off on like my other phones anyway because I really don't use 5G. It just uses more battery life, and my Wi-Fi in the house is faster anyway. It is kind of a letdown, and this is marketed as a 5G phone, except 5G does not work in Canada. At least it doesn't work on Bell. So this still falls into the exact same situation that a lot of people were talking about before with the Redmagic 5G, how none of those supported 5G, even though they advertise that it does. And the only differences between the North American one, the European one, and the Chinese one was that the North American one had a completely different board to support different radios, and even then they still didn't get all the radios working. And then the European one, or like global, that and the China version are identical, except the global has NFC antennas. The Chinese one does not, because they do not use NFC in China. That's just not a thing. No one uses it. Wireless charging, no wireless charging. Expandable storage, no expandable storage. Now, the only reasons that I did not get the Pro is because the Pro is a goddamn scam. Like, the Pro costs $100 more to get 512 gigs of storage, but it's only 16 gigs of RAM. This one is 18, and the Pro doesn't even have the option of 18 gigabytes of RAM. So when you're dealing in a performance standpoint, this has better performance. It's the exact same CPU, exact same GPU, the exact same cooling, except you get 2 gigabytes of RAM more for $100 US less. The display is 120 hertz instead of this one, which is 165. So again, this performs better than the Pro, but the Pro has an under display camera. But when you compare the actual results of the camera, because it's under the display and it still has to look through pixels that aren't illuminated, the front camera quality is absolutely garbage. I mean, not like it matters anyway. I'm not one for selfies, as you can tell with the arrangement of this video. But for face unlock, that will help significantly in lower light situations. So with that being said, this one, faster display, exact same performance, 2 gigabytes of RAM more, better front-facing camera, and the only downside is that this one has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. The Pro has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And just doing some napkin math, that basically means that the Pro is gonna get maybe 2 hours more of battery life. You're still looking at probably like 20 hours of normal use. Like, that's not gaming, like your generic, like, I don't have a life use case. So sitting on the couch for hours watching TikToks. Like, with the refresh rate cranked all the way to 165, leaving the fan and the RGB on when the phone is actually in use, crank the brightness, which means that even in the worst case scenario, this should last an entire day between charges. And just completely coming off track right now, this included case is actually amazing. And the fact that the screen has that little raised area, the case actually lines up so unbelievably perfect along the edges of it. It is so good. If you run it without the case, this little notch right here isn't going to affect anything. It doesn't even affect the way that the phone feels. It still feels really good. And when you have a case on, that snaps in so perfect. It's so satisfying. I can't get over how good this phone is compared to how bad the original one is. So now let's get into the Easter egg that I promised in the beginning. Now, this isn't like a confirmed thing or whatever. It's just that, like, being ancient, like I was born in the late 80s, so like I grew up throughout the 90s, and like this stuff still tickles the fancy in my old monkey brain. But the Easter eggs are the original purchase for this phone, because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. It's way too coincidental for this to be a real thing. So there's 4 of them. Now, one of them has been removed from this one, but it is on the 6 Pro. However, on the fan, you can still see it where it says like Dow or whatever, like in there. And like essentially, if you translate that or whatever, it's like a type of blade that was used by like ninjas to essentially remain invisible in plain sight or whatever. So like it like loosely translates to like a weapon for hiding in plain sight. And that's essentially what hacking is your phone, your computer. Those are malicious weapons of hacking to hide in plain sight because they blend with the environment. For instance, would be that like Windows 10 theme that you can add to Kali Linux. So when you open your laptop, it literally looks like Windows 10, so you can do hacking in plain sight. So that's one thing that I thought was really funny. Now, it's translation, so I mean, like, there's probably other meanings that you could look into further, but that's how I'm taking it because, you know, it tickles my fancy. The next would be the transparent tech. The back of the phone, completely transparent, just like old technology. Apple was all over that. Nintendo, all over that. Tons of PlayStation controllers, all over that. Even the original Xbox, limited edition consoles, transparent. So the fact that this is transparent all the way through, super retro, definitely awesome. Absolutely love that. The RGB fan in here, you cannot change the colors. So you can see that the red, green, blue, and yellow LEDs, that is how they are, and you cannot change them. Way back in the early 2000s, that was the only accessory that we had for customizing your computer. You could have either one solid color or these RGB fans, and you couldn't change the color. And that's like the original, like, I'm literally living in my mom's basement with my custom computer that I built with my money by delivering newspapers. And like, this is my flex. And like, you would cut a hole in your side panel and take a piece of plexiglass and actually like form it to the case to actually make the case have a window on the side. Like that, like custom cases basically didn't even exist back then. And this is a reminder of how that used to be. So now we have like the hacker weapon in plain sight. We have the retro color RGB fan of how things used to be way back in the day. We have the transparent tech, just like how things used to be. And like the transparent ones were always like the cooler, better versions. And then just the cherry on top here that just makes this like the absolute best thing is that this phone is called the Supernova edition. Way back, like when torrents were like first taking off, and that was like the explosion of internet piracy. Instead of going to like different like FTP servers and stuff with like other people on ICQ, we'd go to these new torrent sites, and they were like revolutionary. And the biggest one that I remember being like this huge staple to set off like internet piracy, and I say we as in like the collective internet, not like me personally, you know, for like disclaimer reasons. But it used to be called supernova.org. So there you go. Little fun tech hacker piracy retro vibe. The Redmagic 7 is the better of the two. Don't get the Pro. Save your $100. Get a 7 because every single thing on this is better. You just get 500 milliamp hour less battery, but you gain in every other aspect of this phone. The fit and finish is absolutely perfect. This is like your hacker weapon in plain sight. You have the retro RGB fan. You have the premium retro clear case, and it is called Supernova, which I'm personally taking as being named after like the internet like piracy takeover when torrent sites just became like the complete mainstream thing that I assume people probably have done before, but definitely not me. And again, Nubia gave me a huge deal on this phone. I got this for $1,080.11 Canadian because of the discount. I got like screen protectors, a fan, the phone, free included case, super environmentally friendly packaging now, so that's awesome to see. And they still include a charger, Samsung, Apple. So that's awesome. Absolutely love that. Every single thing that was wrong in the previous phones, everything works perfect. There are no issues at all. I couldn't be more content with this phone. There isn't a single problem with it. It's cheaper than anything else that you can find out there. It has the absolute latest specs of everything in comparison to the S22 Ultra. Like, that is just mind-blowing when you can get this and everything works perfect. So, like, partially sponsored, and I honestly don't know what I could say to convince you that this is not Nubia making me say these things, because, like, I fucking hated the other phone. I got into arguments with Nubia, like, they completely ghosted me after I made, like, a good publicity video saying that they're gonna fix my phone, and they completely screwed me over. Like, this is, like, their redemption. This is absolutely amazing. This phone is... You know, okay, I was gonna say it's the best phone I've ever had, but I'm gonna give it a couple days for me to actually use it and, like, see what it does in the long term. See how the battery life actually performs and not just napkin math. See how the screen protector holds up. See how these new ones apply, stuff like that. But as it is right now, I cannot be more content with this phone. If you're looking at buying like a Nubia phone, absolutely buy one. But take that with a grain of salt, because this is my first impression and I don't know how the longevity of this phone is going to be. But if you are deciding between the 7 and the 7 Pro, get the 7. There is no point to get the 7 Pro, because your refresh rate is going to be less, your front camera is going to be worse, you're going to lose 2 gigabytes of RAM if you get the Supernova edition. It's going to cost you $100 US more, and there is zero performance increase because it is just absolutely identical hardware. So this right here, this is the phone to get. I can't even subscribe, join the members program if you want to help with this stuff, or like don't do anything. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this phone is fucking awesome.